So I'm at a party. This guy says to me, "What do you do?" Because that's what we ask each other at parties, right? I tell him I ran a company that helped people find jobs, and he lights up. His daughter loves computers, and he really wanted her to go into coding, but now he's worried that AI is going to take all those jobs. Wants to know what I think about cybersecurity. I ask him to tell me a little bit more about his daughter, and he says, "Well, she just turned 4. I think this is where we are. We are creating backup career plans for toddlers. So many people have done everything they were supposed to do, and now they find themselves on these shaky career ladders, not even sure they're leaning against the right wall. The threat of AI has us scrambling for safety. So 25 years in recruitment, you want to know what's going to be the most in-demand job for the next 5 to 7 years? Yeah, me too. Think about it. 5 years ago, prompt engineer didn't exist. Today, it's a $100K job. In 5 more years, it might be a button on your dishwasher. This talk is not about predicting which jobs AI is going to create or destroy. It's about something more basic and more human. How can you build a meaningful, resilient career when our playbook was written for a world of stability that doesn't exist? It starts with new thinking and a totally different metaphor. I should know, the old thinking never really worked for me. I graduated college with degrees in English and philosophy. McKinsey, Goldman, Microsoft, they all came calling. They just weren't calling me. I worked in a group home, learned to make beer, taught college composition, and then I did go back and get a master's in creative writing. I couldn't find a ladder if you dropped me in the ladder aisle at Home Depot. And that turned out to be a great thing. When you don't feel pressure to have everything figured out, you realize that the real joy is in the figuring out. And in this new world of work, the people who thrive are the people who treat their careers like constant figuring out. People who realize that their agility matters way more than their ability. So this flies in the face of the resume industrial complex. You're supposed to be intentional. Pick a profession, set some lofty long-term goal, and compete. Climb the ladder. Quick show of hands. How many of you have ever felt off balance in your career? All right, look around. You are not alone. Lots of hands. I polled my LinkedIn network, and only 1 out of 9 people said they knew what they wanted to do when they started out and actually did it. Yet our career advice assumes a straight line. Like success comes from building up your ability, being deemed an expert, and then riding that for the next 40 years. I'm not so sure that ever worked, but now companies are training AI on what we know and do, our expertise and ability. No wonder rungs are falling off the career ladder. The ladder doesn't need repair. It needs last rites. This is not the first time we faced a future we didn't understand. I'm old enough to have lived through Y2K. By 1999, I had joined this fast-growing recruiting company as a business analyst. But if I'm being honest, I was still just buying time. One day, my boss invites me to a meeting where all the bigwigs are going to hash out the Y2K priorities. I walk into this conference room, board table, 12 chairs around it, and luckily, I'm not in any of those chairs. I'm in a separate chair that's been wheeled in from another conference room, pressed against the back wall with a bunch of other observers. This meeting doesn't so much start as it erupts. Everyone talking at once. And 10 minutes in, it's pretty clear this is going nowhere. I am doing my best to keep my head down and not make any eye contact. And that's when I see somebody dropped a flip chart marker, and it's rolling in front of my chair. I'm pretty conscientious, so I reach down to pick it up. And when I do, my boss pulls my chair away. There I stand, everyone staring at me. I have two voices in my head. The first one is saying, "What are you doing? Get back in the chair!" I'd like to tell you the second one was more encouraging, but it was actually disgusted. When are you going to stop being afraid? Maybe it was turning 30. Maybe it was finding out that my wife was pregnant with twins. But I actually answered the second voice. I faked a little confidence and said, "Mind if I try something?" A CFO looks up. We lock eyes and says, "Might as well. This couldn't get any worse." He's wrong. The talking turns into yelling, fists start pounding, and I sweat completely through my light blue button down. Picked a really bad day not to wear an undershirt. I collect myself, though, make my way over to a flip chart, and with a shaky hand write the word "why." And then the room gets quiet. When the discussion starts again, people aren't fighting about projects. We're actually talking about our mission. We agree on some decision criteria and leave with kind of a plan. All right, it is far from perfect. In fact, I walked down to my boss's office replaying every missed opportunity and reliving that discomfort that I felt. I'm pretty sure I'm going to quit. My boss furrows his brow and stares almost through me. It says, "Look, you see the world differently than the rest of that room. If we're going to realize our potential, we need more out of you." And then he breaks into a big smile and says, "You got this." Whew. I had walked into that office feeling about this big. With that smile and those three words, "You got this," I walked out 10 feet tall on a mission. I thought, maybe he's right. When everyone else was selling answers, my humanities background helped me ask questions. Time in the group home had built the empathy that let me read the room. And teaching college composition seemed to be pretty good practice for wrangling a tough crowd. After that, I never looked for another ladder. I realized I wasn't competing with those people. I was complementary. I just kept picking up the next marker. Don't get me wrong, I failed a lot. Constantly felt out of my depth. But I actually came to crave that pit in my stomach feeling once I realized I didn't have to have the answers. I could ask questions and amplify the quiet voice pressed against the back wall. I could facilitate the team to a shared way forward. I loved feeling part of something bigger than me, and I worked with such switched-on, brilliant people. I noticed we actually never talked about their credentials. No, they were problem solvers and risk takers. They were insanely curious. They didn't care about being off balance. If anything, they leaned into it. And then one day it hit me. They weren't climbing anything. They were surfing. Okay, that can sound like a motivational poster in a break room. I get it. But hang with me for a second. Surfers are constantly reading conditions. They seek out the challenge of rough water. They treat every wave like it's a classroom, move with the energy of the wave. And when one crashes on them, they pop back up, because guess what? They know there's another wave coming. Herminia Ibarra tells us that self-creation is a lifelong journey. Her career research shows that we don't decide on a purpose and passion, then build some long plan, and then execute it. No. Purpose and passion and even identity emerge when we pick up markers and ride waves. In 2016, that very same recruiting company was ready to name a new global president, an assignment I had never considered until the founder asked me. That night at dinner, my now 16-year-old daughter, full of pride, looked up at me and said, "No offense, Dad, but why you?" She said what the voice in my head had been whispering all day. This wasn't the plan. What business did I have leading some multi-billion-dollar enterprise? But in times of uncertainty, agility matters. When you take a squiggly, messy, wandering path, you build trust and context, and you develop the tacit knowledge that leads to sound judgment. No matter how good these AI models get, trust is earned, context is lived, and judgment is forged in the arena, not in the cloud. So that's all well and good, but you're still going to find yourself at a party, and somebody's going to ask you, "So what do you do?" And then your grade school rival's going to post her massive promotion on LinkedIn, and you're going to want to go find a ladder or maybe just wish you were on a different rung. That's human nature. So I'm going to give you 2 takeaways and 1 challenge to help you deal with your own inner critic. The first, I want you to remember, you are not your job. Don't let anyone define you by your job, especially you. In your mind, don't even have a job. Have a series of assignments. If your current assignment is less than awesome, that's okay. You're not following some path. You're building a portfolio, and trust me, there's another wave coming. And second, prioritize your learning potential over your earning potential. Earning potential measures what you already know. In the world of AI, that is a rapidly depreciating asset. Learning potential, that's all about what you can figure out next. Fun, renewable, and exponentially increasing in value. So if you feel off balance, maybe even like an imposter, you're not behind. You're learning. Agility over ability. And now the challenge. I found so much joy picking up markers. But my last assignment taught me there's even more joy in putting them in front of people, helping them realize potential they didn't even know they had. So Jacksonville, we are sitting 8 miles from the ocean. Close enough on a windy day to smell the salt air. Close enough to remind us all that you were not put on this earth to climb some rickety ladder. You're here to ride waves. You got this.